This is the physical passage connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. It is an incredibly narrow bottleneck, measuring just 21 miles wide. This radar map shows the historical baseline. Normally, 120 vessels move through this geography daily, carrying 20% of global oil. But in March, as the war escalated, those ships vanished. Traffic plunged 95%, leaving the corridor empty. That disruption immediately choked global supply lines. Crude oil prices rapidly surged past $114 a barrel as the market reacted to the missing shipments. The Strait of Hormuz has functionally ceased to operate as an open global commons. It is now the geographic epicenter of a highly targeted crisis. Tehran is utilizing a diplomatic sorting mechanism to control the traffic entering the strait. Passage now depends on a strict allegiance test. Transit rights are determined exclusively by a nation's active diplomatic relationship with Tehran. This sorting is physically enforced on the water. Iranian military forces actively patrol the passage to ensure the filter holds. Iran has weaponized the physical geography of the strait, turning these international waters into a passage dictated by wartime alignments. The approved list includes nations that Iran considers friendly or neutral. Ships from China, Russia, Pakistan, Iraq, India, and Bangladesh have all been granted coordinated passage. For a country like India, getting on that approved list is a matter of domestic stability. Since the conflict escalated in late February, India has faced acute shortages of cooking gas, leaving citizens waiting in long lines for basic fuel. Because India maintained a neutral stance, Iranian forces allowed two enormous liquefied petroleum gas carriers, the BW Tyre and the BW Elm, to safely exit the Persian Gulf and deliver 93,000 tons of fuel to Indian ports. But that access comes with technical requirements. Approved vessels must continuously broadcast their national ownership and crew status via their onboard transponders. Pakistan is following these same rules. Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar announced a transit deal that secures safe passage for 20 additional Pakistani-flagged ships, with 2 vessels crossing the strait daily. By turning on their transponders and formally signing these deals, these nations secure their own vital economic survival. At the same time, their compliance leads them to implicitly recognize Iran's sovereignty over an international waterway. This visualization maps out the targets of the blockade. Any vessel carrying links to the United States, Israel, or their allied Gulf states is explicitly barred from entry. Tehran is applying this strict denial of transit as an asymmetrical response to the ongoing U.S.-Israeli military campaign. The financial risk of testing this ban is severe. Any barge shipping company that attempts to sail through the strait risks having multi-million-dollar cargoes seized by the Iranian Navy. Without the involvement of the international community, Tehran has unilaterally engineered and enforced its own highly effective global sanctions regime. The Iranian government is now working to ensure this tactic outlasts the current war. Inside the Iranian parliament, officials are moving to formalize their wartime control into permanent domestic law. Lawmakers are drafting legislation that would impose mandatory financial tolls on every commercial ship transiting the waterway. Lawmaker Mohammad Kouchi outlined the dual purpose of the bill, formally recognizing Iran's absolute sovereignty over the strait and creating a new source of state revenue. If passed, this legislation permanently converts what was once a free international transit route into a privately owned national tollgate. Vice President Mohammad Reza Aref has been explicit about this goal. He recently stated that the government intends to transform their recent battlefield achievements into sustainable economic benefits. As Aref stated directly, the operational regime of the Strait of Hormuz will never return to the way it was in the past. Efforts by Iran's opponents to force political change in the region have inadvertently handed Tehran influence over global energy markets. The regional war served as the catalyst for Iran to execute a permanent regime change in Hormuz.